Well, I'm glad you caught the fact that it was 7 o'clock. I was over here, clicking buttons and all that and wasn't even paying attention to the thing flashing telling me it's 7 o'clock.
Well, I don't ever pay attention, but we was just yapping away, and I was like, I'm probably going to have to start this thing pretty soon, and we barely got it started off.
Yeah, we'll, pretty much be flying by the seat of our pants again tonight, but that's not unusual for us, and sometimes I think it goes better.
Well, I do know that we're on Twitter, so I seen that notification come up. I'm
That's a good
assuming we're
thing.
good on Facebook. People out there, if you're watching, somebody message, let us know you're there. That helps us and tells us that somebody's out there. And I see the numbers are jumping up a little bit. Looks like
Yeah, I just got
20
my
folks.
YouTube notification. I just got my Facebook notification. I'm going to mute my phone and switch over to that so I can kind of watch the comments there. And anyway, we got lots of things going. I have one, two, three, four, five computer monitors and an iPad and iPhone going at one time.
And me, I just have one big monitor with a bunch of different windows all over it.
Yeah, so it looks like we got a few people here already, about 20 something folks watching. Cassie Casario Rogers is there. Mr. Preston Friedley says he's watching. Judy Stewart, Vicky Volk, and of course Greg Bell's already commenting away. So hello and good Tuesday evening to all you folks.
Yeah, I hadn't seen Greg Bell in a while. I guess he's been languishing on the beach or dodging sharks down there in the sunny coast of Florida, or
Yeah,
watching the Russian boats come cruising by, probably with the
yeah.
cruise missiles or whatever.
You ever watch the YouTube channels on the Hall over Inlet? Those are great. I sit there and watch those things for hours. It's like you get sucked into watching them and you can't get out of it because you're watching all these boats, taking on water and stuffing waves and, these 40 and 60-foot boats, $2 and $3 million boats stuffing waves. It's awesome.
Well, speaking of boats and waves, hey, did you see that video I sent you of the way it was on Black Bayou?
Well, I did. And I gotta say, hold on a minute. I might can actually get that thing to pull up. Hold on. This is probably not going to go over so well, but yeah, I thought so. But hold
I
on.
mean, the
Go.
Cypress district, they shut down the launches on Cypress and Black Bayou, and all that did was bring more boats out.
Well, I don't want to get too far on my soapbox because, this isn't an episode of the outdoor news. We can cover that on the outdoor news. But and you and I may differ on this, but I'm sorry, that's a public lake. It was not built for the landowners. If you don't like the fact that, the water's up and your dock might get damaged, build your dock higher.
Yeah,
But to close,
I'm not concerned
technically,
about that. I'm
well, what's your
concerned about
concern?
the health and safety of the public because it's a no wake zone.
Yeah, well, there's
They're within
that whole
they're
there's that
they're
whole
within less
debate
than
too.
100 feet of the bank.
Well, there is that whole debate too. But
I mean, there is a law or two, but I mean, who
those
enforces the
pesky,
law? I mean,
those pesky laws. They got
what
to
does
get out
Julie?
there.
Yeah, what does Julianna say about facts and law? I mean, the facts don't apply to the law.
We're gonna get to that in a minute. Hey, let's watch this pontoon for a second. Hold on.
Yeah. Meanwhile, on Black Bayou. And another part of my seawall falls in. I mean, no big deal. Nobody cares. It ain't their seawall. How the heck with it?
But look, I got to tell you though, the wake boats doing 20 miles an hour are much worse than that pontoon. It's those dang wake boats. I'm telling you.
I agree. But them bass boats, they're just as bad.
But we don't.
They like to
There
throw
is,
the rooster tails up
but
and
the
splash
rooster
your
tail
deck
is
and all
water
that.
going up and out. The rooster tail is not throwing a wake. When I come by I wouldn't come by your dock at 70, maybe 68. But anyway, I am throwing about a 3 to 4 inch wake. That's it.
That's
That's
okay.
it.
I'm
It's
videoing both.
displacement.
You come by
Displacement.
anytime you want. You come by anytime you want. I'm videoing everybody. It don't matter.
All right.
You can come in a P row, and I'm gonna video you if you're going too fast.
Smiling.
That's right.
uh, but
I'm gonna make a montage of
yeah,
all of y'all.
we need to do an outdoor news show, another one, and we need to have that discussion and go pretty far into depth in all
We can
seriousness.
we can do it on my pier as they come flying in the pocket,
Yeah,
and
we'll do it live.
that would be awesome. And we could
Yeah,
be fishing.
and we can have them live. We'll turn the camera around, set it all up. We need to think about doing that.
All right,
All
we're
right,
gonna
so
lose people.
I know people are going, oh, great. They're on the fishing and boats and outdoor stuff. So, what are we going to talk about tonight? I mean, pretty much it's got to be the Charter Commission. That was a marathon meeting again, but there were some fireworks and tirades and everything else that went on.
Well, yeah, there's a lot going on in Bossier, and I mean, look, I think what did you name the show? Channeling the Queen or Channeling the King?
Well, I mean, I like to refer to him as Queen David. I mean, just because that, really irks a few friends of ours and drives them insane. And so that's actually why I do it. It's a term of, no, it's not a term of endearment because I really can't stand him, but that's beside the point. I did term it channeling the Queen. Now, that's kind of a play on words because, of course, Julianna is, well, I have to
Well,
be
we
careful how I say this these days with pronouns and gender and everything, but she would be considered a queen, which has typically always been considered female, but we also refer to Queen David. It's a play on words.
we originally named him the King, and then I think there was some event that he kind of showed out a little bit, and we said no, he was acting like a queen, and
Yeah, that's
we
true.
renamed him the Queen. But I don't know. I mean, you just made me think of something. Maybe actually she's the king.
Well, that very well could be. I don't know. It's hard to tell these days, and we have got plenty to show y'all. Considering that, let me just. I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna put the show deal up there for those of you that have
A-
not seen it. Let me click
And I
there and there.
just wanted to tell you, be careful with that urban slang. I mean, you came real close just a minute ago.
I've got to watch when I'm just splurting out words and all kinds of things that are not necessarily politically correct and may get us. I may get us kicked off platform.
Well,
Maybe
you'll
so.
get the. Are we going to call her the king or the queen? What are we going to do? We got to correct this now because I don't know which way to go.
I think we call her the queen from now on. I mean, let's let everybody vote. Y'all think about it, folks. When we go to the break here in just a minute, y'all have about 3.5 or 4 minutes. Y'all think about it. Do we want to refer to her as Queen Julianna? And we'll just every now and then refer to King David or Montgomery or Monty or whatever we want to call him. Shall we refer to her as Queen Julianna?
Well, if the king dies or goes away, I mean, it then falls to the queen. So
Yeah.
I think I think that's appropriate considering, especially after everybody sees what all we're going to show tonight. I think that's probably where they would end up. Yeah,
Yeah.
the
All
queen.
right. Well, let's go ahead and go to the break. And when we come back, we will get into it and we will talk about why we have this show graphic for the show tonight with that has a remarkable resemblance to Juliana. I just can't imagine who it's a caricature of.
Yeah,
And
and
a bunch of zombie voters voting for term limits.
no, that's not zombies. That's Bossier City citizens. They,
Ah, yes. Yeah.
they just don't know. That's all Bossier City citizens. I
Yeah.
mean, all of y'all that support term limits anyway. That's
Yeah.
y'all.
Wait. Before we go to the break, we've got a couple of comments here. Greg Bell says Princess. Barry Butler says Princess in Waiting. That's it. Good job, Greg Bell and Barry Butler. We need to refer to her as Princess Julianne. Queen David and Princess Julianne. That's it.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
it. Princess it
I'll try
is.
to remember that and try to work with that.
All right, folks, y'all know the drill. We're going to go to our intro and all that and countdown. That gives y'all time to tag and share and do all that sort of thing. We'll tag and share. Go make you a stiff drink. You got time to pop you some microwave popcorn because you'll have a little over 2 minutes. We'll be right back, and we're going to get into it. We've got a lot of Charter Commission stuff to reveal and show, but trust me, you're going to want to see this and tag in some friends. So we'll be
And
back.
you're gonna need that stiff drink.
You're going to need it tonight. I'm going to hit the button. Here we go. Bossier Watch and Louisiana Watch reached thousands of people each and every week across YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Plus, we have expanded into live shows and videos under The Outdoor News on Facebook and YouTube. We have a very dedicated and growing audience around the regional, Bossier, and Louisiana area. We reach over 60,000 people each month across all platforms. Even the Bossier City Mayor's office admits to watching us.
Really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys. Believe it or not, I really watch you guys all the time. And I appreciate your platform and how you kind of put it out there.
As citizen journalists, we provide professionally produced live shows with consistent scheduling and interview interesting people, give our opinions, and yes, get on our soapboxes from time to time. With thousands of engaging comments weekly, you can rest assured as an advertiser and partner, your company or organization's brand will be shown and promoted consistently and professionally. Whether in our opening countdown or the background graphics of our shows or on our website, you can rest assured that your brand will reach our expanding audience and increase your visibility. We offer flexible, no-hassle advertising options, and we can work within any budget. Contact us now through our advertisers page on our websites or directly through social media. Let's get your brand recognized.
If folks knew a lot of the back office on the politicians that they think walk on water, they would be shocked. You know, there's an old wound from a knife in my back that just is giving me heck lately, and it's just really irritating, so I have to kind of wiggle around a little bit.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
I titled it A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys.
Just, you know, they feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
Some Republicans as well believe that government has the answers. And let me tell y'all something. I don't know anything government does well. Nothing.
Aren't there laws that say that you have public meetings so that the public can have accountability of their elected officials?
They're making a little bit of progress, but I would definitely have to give the race to Caddo Parish right now. Yeah.
I don't know. Is there anybody from Plain Dealing watching, you think?
As a member of the media, I'm very concerned about what I've just heard.
Did you or did you not requisition money to fight against this or for it?
We hired a lobbyist, and it cost us $15,000. We were opposed to HB 630.
So for this week, folks, the cockroach of the week, according to Bossier Watch and Duke Lowry and Rex Moncrief, is
Raymond Cruz legislative assistant, Allie Feaster Smith. Thank you, Allie. Well, I'm not thinking Star Wars at all. I'm thinking zombie apocalypse. No way, it was not David. You know it wasn't David Montgomery. David ain't gonna jump off in there with Chris. He's gonna do it. He'd as soon spit on him as he would even look at him. Man, this is a Mickey D's Krispy Kreme wheat. Didn't you know? Who's paying y'all? And if you're driving on the roads, are you safe?
It's on the road, yeah.
Well, I know you're on the road, but I mean, is this all folks coming from the border down there?
Yeah, it's going to the border. It's actually going to Mexico in buses.
Doesn't mean they interpret it the same way that I do. For instance, the Second Amendment. I take it very literally. That's been interpreted different ways in the court system all the way up to SCOTUS. Yeah, that's only going to cause more division that he claims he doesn't want to cause. And it's only going to cause more suspicion. We're still right now combined on both pages and YouTube at 264 people watching. That is amazing. Faux Coleman Project, the Walker Place deal, through conscious, shocking actions. The purpose of their actions was to stop plaintiffs, being the Earl Coleman and associated groups and all that, from developing Walker Place. But here's a key thing, which in turn would enrich sitting city council members Scott Irwin and David Montgomery Jr.
You hit the button, does that mean that people are seeing us sitting here talking and chatting?
In theory, it's an every week thing. We got to double check and make sure it's like a miracle any of this actually works. This live broadcast is brought to you by The Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 25 years in the mortgage business. Pelican Training and Consulting. Reach out to Julie Ferris. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And folks sharing information and watching out. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. And we made it again. 210 times.
Boy, a glutton for punishment we are.
And some folks ask us why we do the little intro countdown and all that. And to be quite honest with people and fully transparent, one, it's so I can force you to watch a couple of ads. But number two, it allows people time to get their notifications and, get to a place where they can tap on the show and watch. If we just started off with a bang, by the time people get in here, it's usually the 8 or 10 minute mark, sometime around there. And, they would lose some of the initial content.
Well, that's right. And it limits the live interaction that people can have while we're talking, because while it's, you and I, the host, we also value and want everyone that's watching to comment and interact. I mean, that's what this is all about. It ain't about just us. It's about y'all too.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to reveal all our secrets to all the many competitors we have across Bossier City, but yeah, that is kind of one of the little secrets to the sauce, is letting people interact through commentary. We don't put all the comments up there, but as we're able to, and I'm able to see them and select a few, we definitely like to do that, and we do read all the comments.
Yeah, and part of it as well too. I mean, look, some of our shows we've had subjects and content we've talked about, and it ain't like, I mean, we're no different. We're just regular people, but different people's views. We have figured things out from people's comments during the live show. We're going through a subject matter, and somebody makes and said, they let them make a point, and dadgum, they're right. That's exactly what the deal is. That's why.
And, of course, our friend Wes Marriott, Sobo Live, he's spying on us on our show. And he says, reveal your secrets.
I could say something, but I'm not. We'll wait.
Hey, I'll give him a little bit of credit, though. Sobo Live was up burning the midnight oil after that marathon charter commission meeting, and he was reporting on that. I don't know. What was it, Wes? Like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, something like that, when you posted?
Yeah, dadgum. I ain't that dedicated. I mean,
we're dedicated a lot, but I don't think I can honestly say I've not pulled an all-nighter for Bossier Watch yet. But anyway.
Okay, so somewhere wait a minute, the princess, I got it. You said somewhere the princess is throwing stuff. Oh, come on, would they just get on with it and attack me already, so I can be mad and finish throwing things in my house or office or wherever?
Well, I'm going to take us straight back to the screenshot because, again, just to kind of rehash briefly what we were discussing before the break and before the intro, pretty much the show tonight is going to be on the Charter Commission meeting, and we're going to center, of course, on the discussion over term limits because there was a lot of content there. And so hence, well, as you'll see, Princess Julianna's comments about the voting public, but we'll talk about some more. Hey, there is one thing I want to mention before we get too far into the deep dive of that. And I got a text message and got a reminder to briefly mention Bamberg's bill, and that's HB 762 that I think is still on the good Governor Jeff Landry's desk, and that's a bill over the ACT test. I guess there's some controversy or something going on with the ACT. I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, now, there's some pros and cons of it. There's some people that were like, they're like been out of shape about this one, and then there's some people that are not. And as I understand it, and I think this is the bill, Cade Brumley, I think, is in support of this. And
well, all right, but clarify if you know, because I haven't read the bill yet. I've only read a couple of articles, and I wasn't too clear. Is Bamberg's bill to get rid of the ACT or to make it mandatory? I mean, it pretty much is mandatory anyway.
I honestly don't know. I
Okay.
honestly don't know the details on the deal. I know that Bamberg had a bill that was controversial regarding grades and scoring in some way, shape, form, or fashion. A lot of people were bent out of shape about it, but what I do know is that Cade Brumley supports it and believes it's a good thing, and that's all I know. And so Cade carries a lot of weight. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Well, if somebody kind of knows a summary of it, let us know in the comments. In full disclosure, I've got to go read the bill and see what it actually says. I've only read a couple of summary articles on it, and there were some changes to it and back and forth. But anyway, I did want to mention that HB 762, which is Bamberg's bill, something to do with the ACT test, is still sitting on Jeff Landry's desk and apparently has not been signed by the governor yet. So we'll see how that turns out. We'll try to keep an eye on it.
well, has there been a sea bass sighting anywhere?
Paging Adam Seabass. I need to do him with a Superman cape on or something, or maybe a Flash, like the Flash deal, lightning bolt. He's
I
here,
don't.
he's there, he's everywhere.
I don't
It's
know.
Adam Seabass to the rescue.
I got to tell you, I'm getting I'm getting some reports coming from Baton Rouge that are not good, and it's
Oh,
sure making me worry a little bit. But
do
we're not ready
tell.
for it. We're not ready for it this show. But
Wait a
I'm
minute, you
just
gotta tease a little, just a teensy bit more than that. Has Adam Seabass managed to piss anybody off?
Oh, I think so. I think we may have to rename him. I don't know. I don't know that Seabass is going to be appropriate anymore because I hear that him and Biscuit are not a thing anymore.
Uh-oh. So I may have to turn him from superhero to villain.
Well, I don't know that either. But all I do know is that things are not good in the Bass camp, from what I understand. And if we look back over the history of the Senate District 36 seat, it seems like there's been a little bit of a pattern since, well, I would say since Gaddy left. I mean, I don't know. Can anybody tell me any projects coming back to Senate District 36?
Well,
Money money
yeah.
funded projects.
Didn't we have a big discussion about bringing home the bacon type stuff, and we've gone over that ad nauseum? You were right about the Senate District 36 seat. It just seems to always have some sort of controversy.
It does, and I don't know the whole story, but we'll leave it right there. But I understand there continues to be a disparity in Senate District 36, and I don't think it's going to change.
Hmm. Well,
We'll see.
maybe since we were nice and put on that Senate debate between superhero or supervillain, as the case may be, Seabass, and Robert Mills, and arguably Adam did better in that than Senator or former Senator Mills did. Maybe we can get Adam Seabass on the show. Maybe he'll actually come on the show and do some little splaining.
Yeah, well, Robert Mills, to his credit, I mean, he, you obviously opposed him, and once he was elected, he came on the show right out of the gate.
No
He was a trooper.
reservations. Yeah.
He came on and did it, and I think Adam needs to. We gave Adam and Dennis both. We didn't pressure them, or we didn't go after them. We didn't on any bills. There was nothing that really jumped out at me that we should, but
All right.
we didn't really talk about them a whole lot with their first session. They were freshmen. They needed to learn where the bathrooms were. I think they did and did quick. I mean, they brought bills right out of the gate, which is a good thing. A lot of times, your first term legislators, they don't, but these guys did.
Yeah.
And so they deserve credit for that. Um, that's behind them now. They're
Yeah.
pros.
Well, and just to remind everybody, all politicians or bureaucrats, whether we make fun of you or not, have an open invitation to come on the show. Everybody knows how to find me or find Duke. We're obviously all over the internet and social media in our little sphere of influence around Bossier, so they all have an open invitation. We don't typically chase politicians down.
No, we don't. And in that vein, with the exception of trying to affect term limits on politicians in Bossier, um, I think we probably ought to jump off and talk about the little bit of chasing politicians that we are doing in Bossier.
Well, let's
Was that
dive
some
right
word?
into
Was
it.
that some word salad or what?
You did pretty good there. I'll have to give you a little credit where the credit is due. All right, so um, shall we go back in time a little bit on cut number one? Shall we just start off right there?
Yeah, we can start right there, and I think everybody, let's start everybody off with a walk down memory lane, and we'll go back to the last mayor and council election, and you had a 20-something year mayor who was bounced out on his head by a challenger, and you had a new councilman at large and a new district councilman all elected in Bossier, um, that all supported, guess what? They campaigned on something. What
Hmm.
was that, Rex?
It might have been term limits.
And how do we know that?
Well, we can go back down memory lane because, well, there's this thing called social media. And looky there, February 27th of 2021. Tommy Chandler is for term limits. That's not us saying that. That's in Tommy's own words way back in 2021.
So the reason that's important, when we go to playing this last charter commission meeting, and there were some comments being made by, uh, I don't
Princess,
know, the heir apparent, the princess, whatever,
queen in
that,
waiting, however that works in the royal family.
yeah, however it works, I don't know. I don't have a ring. I don't kiss a ring. I'm not in that. I'm not in that social
Right?
sphere. But you know, we weren't the ones that made this up. This is what happened the last election. And
Well, and look, I want to take just a moment, and I have been very critical of Tommy, as mayor on many occasions, but he did come by and support term limits. So that's another way we know that Tommy says he's for term limits. We literally have his picture signing the pledge of support of term limits, the petition, the initial petition, right?
the initial petition, and I can tell you for a fact because I held the paper and put the pen in his hand to which he signed the second term limits petition. He
Ah,
signed it again the second time around.
and to refresh everybody's memory, the reason there's a second petition for term limits is because the graybeards, as our good friend Jeff Sadow likes to call them, or the good old boys like we call them, have done everything in their power, including lawsuits, to put a stop to term limits. And they've spun up this charter commission deal, which is another delaying tactic. We all know that. That's no big secret. And so I want to make sure that everybody is clear that's watching, if you happen to be new to the show, that, it's kind of like a North and South deal. There's part of our politicians that are good old boys that are completely against term limits and the lawyers that represent them. And we have the good side of all of this, which would be Chris Smith, Brian Hammonds. Let's see. Who else is for term limits? Is that pretty much it on the city council?
Well,
Am I leaving anybody out?
on the council, and Tommy Chandler.
Oh, and Tommy Chandler, the mayor, even though the term limits would affect him as mayor. But you've got those three versus the rest of them that, I don't know, they're like picking ticks off of a dog or something, trying to get them
But
to
but
play
as you're
along.
Yeah, and as you're watching all of this, keep in mind and remember the fact that the three new additions to Bossier City politics, the three people that were new additions, the mayor, one at large, and one district councilman, were all supporters of term limits.
Yeah. I mean, run the
Period.
math. They're
Yeah.
literally wanting to limit them or pledging to limit themselves. As a matter of fact, Tommy tells us right here in this post, and for the folks that are just listening to the audio podcast, I'll kind of hit the highlights here. He says, this is Tommy's post. Let's avoid corruption and make sure that we are holding our city's elected official accountable. Term limits are a great way to influence that process. Folks, y'all remember that, because that's going to be interesting and important to contrast into the video that we're going to show in a little bit. Bossier City currently does not have term limits for city officials. As your next mayor, Tommy Chandler will support a 3-term limit for all city elected officials. Here's another important point. A lack of fresh blood in leadership breeds corruption. All right?
Now,
breeds corruption.
And I want to highlight one other little bit, because look, like Richard said in the most recent Charter Commission meeting that we're going to show, he said, words matter.
Words matter.
And go back up and read that thing on all elected officials in Bossier. What did that say again? Tommy Chandler will support a 3-term limit for all city elected officials.
Yeah. All.
All.
Will. Not
all.
Might. Not should. Will support for all city elected officials.
All right. Everybody's got that. We've burnt that in everybody's head. I'd say let's get to the video.
Okay, so let me do a little clicking here and clicking there and clicking everywhere, and let's see what we've got here. Okay, so the way we're going to do this, folks, is we're not going through the entire 3-hour and 30-minute city charter, or charter commission meeting, Bossier City Charter Commission meeting. We're going to kind of hit the highlights of a few things and really focus on the term limits tonight. As we go through the rest of the video later, if there's some other important things, we'll highlight them on next week's show. Now, we got a question here. Let's see. David Womack says, has Tommy changed his mind? Well, as far as we know, Tommy has not changed his mind, because he signed the second petition, correct? Isn't that what you just said, Duke?
Yeah, absolutely. No, Tommy has not changed his mind. Tommy is still full steam ahead, 100% on board.
Okay. Couple of little things we're going to go through real quick. This is Colonel Crockett on the agenda, and I don't know why I specifically highlighted this one, but let's listen to it for a minute or so.
It's noted that Julianna Parks has joined us as a member of the commission. Mr. Crockett, regarding the agenda?
Yeah, regarding the agenda, and I do have a comment about the minutes as well, but I'll wait for you to do that part. I guess my comment basically is a question, because I submitted several papers to the Charter Commission almost before you got started about several issues. Some were issues that even some of your charter members commented to the city during meetings about getting control of the budget, some other issues. And I know you commented briefly on my suggestion that we need to make it more difficult and have supermajorities to approve debt. I guess I'm going to ask rhetorically so I can raise a couple of issues. Are those issues that I submitted papers about, which I spent hours writing, going to come before this group to discuss them? Because I think that there are several things that I sent papers on. Okay,
so I'm going to stop it right there for a minute, because the reason that I highlighted that is I want you to hear or really think about what Colonel Crockett said. He has spent hours, and I'm quite sure he is very literal about that, writing papers and information that he has sent not only, I suspect, to the Charter Commission folks, but also to the city councilmen and everybody else. So the reason that I'm highlighting that is to let everybody know that's dedication right there. He has been at almost every meeting, and these meetings are for hours on end. Now, in full disclosure, Duke and I have only been to a couple of meetings overall. But then again, like we've said from the beginning, we have our platform here every Tuesday night, and we try to analyze this stuff in depth on the, YouTube streams and all that they provide.
Yeah, keep going.
All right. So I'm going to jump here because there was a little bit of commentary for limiting the time to speak. There's a little question about that, so I just want to play a minute or so of this.
The people can speak at meetings?
What the backdoor meeting that Darby kind of led with Montgomery, in that meeting, they were talking about where they want to limit so that you can only speak once during a council meeting was what that discussion was all about. So every time that there's a vote, I believe any citizen should be able to speak. You can pile 10 critical issues into one meeting because you only want somebody to be able to speak once. And I'm one of the few people in the city who studies all the issues before I come to the meetings. I may be the only one that studied it enough to comment, and I believe that people appreciate comments from the public. Thank you for your question.
All right, so that's it. So remember that. The city council has been caught red-handed and exposed by us trying to limit the free speech of everybody that comes to those meetings. Not to mention the stuff that Wes Marriott's been through, the colonel himself has been through, and all of that.
Well, I think actually that's part of the Marriott's federal lawsuit, and I think that was part of why Marriott had filed suit up in district court in Benton to get the records or the phone records of one of the councilmen, because he wasn't using his city issued phone; he was using his personal phone, allegedly to bypass public information requests or open meeting, not get into that issue. That was part of the reason why, and can't seem to get records for Verizon. They don't exist, and which
they don't
we've
exist.
That
They're 19 months. 19 months ago, you can't get them. It's but now to quote Richard Rayer, to paraphrase him only slightly, he did change his stance or statement on that to it's very difficult or whatever it was he actually changed his stance to. So he's parsing his words carefully, not saying it's impossible, but since we called him out on it, he's changed his wording on that.
Now keep in mind, Rex, I will add a little bit of tidbit of information. I understand that the headhunt for whoever, recorded the anonymous information that was sent to us, I understand that there has been an effort headhunting for the person down there in Bossier City Hall.
Oh, wait, that's news to me. Do tell.
That's all I know is just somebody told me. They said that allegedly they have made accusations accusing some people, and in fact, one person I'm told even was accused and threatened, and they resigned their job and left down there as a result of it.
You got to be careful. They'll try to run over you with a Zamboni.
But the point of the whole deal in the story here is that they have been actively headhunting whoever was the leak to show that they were meeting to try to silence public speech and trying to stop people from talking.
Just another perfect example of why term limits are necessary. And again, when we get to the Princess Julianna's soliloquy or tirade, as I call it here in just a little bit, it becomes all the more striking against what she is saying. All right, so I'm going to jump ahead to about the 1 hour, 46 minute mark, and Colonel Crockett again has a comment on some ethics.
Is it going to be about 17?
Yes, because I think this is about ethics. I don't think you can rule on whether it's is or not about ethics. I don't agree with what you just said. First of all, in the one of the recent court case, it was identified that some people had not taken the ethics course, so you can't rely on that all the time. Second,
remember that, Mr. Lowry?
I do remember that.
Yes, that was admitted in a courtroom, that some of them hadn't taken the course on ethics.
Secondly, I don't know if it's true about ethics violations, but I know about open meeting violations. Once you make your complaint, it does become public knowledge. I don't know if that's the case for ethics. Now, what I submitted to you all, which has not been discussed, and so I think this is very fruitful, I recommended changes that could be included in here where you're writing this, or in section 304. I don't know where this is, and I'll include some issues that are not covered based on what you're looking at. Forfeiture of office. A city council member shall forfeit his or her office if he or she intentionally violates the city charter. That's not covered anywhere, but that's in the model city charter that I can send to you, that many cities and states do have that. So if you intentionally violate the city charter, you could.
Not to parse the words too much that Colonel Crockett's saying, I think the problem with that may be intentionally violate. How would you improve intent? I guess there's some documentation, like, you had an email exchange or a recorded phone call with somebody that you were intending to violate the charter. I don't know. Just something to think about. All right. I want to point out one other thing while I've got the video paused. I'm going to put the little golden finger up here. Notice what's happening. We've got a few more folks in the seats. And Chris Smith and Brian Hammonds were also in attendance at the meeting. They're off camera, off to the stage right.
Isn't that just peachy? How did they know to be off camera? How'd they know that?
That's just, they're smart guys, I guess. That's how they got to be politicians, smart guys, All right. So let's go ahead and get to the good part. I'm going to jump ahead to this will be the 2 hour and 38-minute mark if you go back later and watch the YouTube version of this on the Bossier City Council's or the Bossier City Charter Commission's YouTube channel. But this is where Cheatham makes the motion to adopt version C of term limits. Now, Duke, can you give everybody a very quick rundown and synopsis, not of the particular versions, but what versions mean in the context of this?
Well, as I recall it, you had multiple versions. You had one version that just maintained the status quo. I think that would have been like A. Then you had B that would modify it to, I think there was even a proposal for, say, like 12 uh, 2 6-year terms or something like that for at-larges or whatever. And then all of them you had including retro and not including retro. And retro meaning that it's retroactive if you've served a total of however many years, regardless, you can't run again. So ultimately, and then there was this tweak, because what folks have to understand is the at-large seats in Bossier, unlike, and Richard Ray, I think, is correct on this. He did the research. That's what he said, and I think he's absolutely correct. Bossier City is the only place where your 2 at-large councilmen run on the same ticket in the same race. And there was a proposal, and Lee Jeter was kind of on board with this. I think Lee Jeter wanted this and there's a lot of people that wanted to divide those at-large seats up and, say like you have a race at different times, 2 years apart.
Right.
And a Division A and a Division B. That way it wouldn't be that you did them both at the same time. And
yeah, that's an interesting point. Not to derail you, but in Princess Julianna's little math lesson here in a little bit, or attempted a math lesson, I don't know, it's kind of awkward. Anyway, she does bring up that point about the at-large votes, and like 8,700 people voted, so that must mean there were 16,000 votes. I don't know. She had some kind of crazy math going, but she did have a little bit of a point, and that was what you were just discussing, which is the way that Bossier City does the at-large seats.
Yeah, and so the other observation that all of you watching, and something that you need to pay attention to, is you need to look at who all is here. How is it and why is it that Shane Cheatham felt motivated to go ahead and make a motion for option C or version C, which would have been I'm going to say it this way. I'm indifferent on whether you divide the at-larges up, Division A, Division B. I mean, that doesn't matter to me. I'm fine with it either way. I could care less about that. But what I do care about is term limits and retroactivity. The retro meaning if you've already been in there for 20 plus years, you need to go home. It wasn't meant to be a lifetime deal.
Right.
That's what I care about. But why is it? Because Shane did this before. He went for it, and Lee Jeter, I mean, I ain't gonna say he hung us out, but there was a majority of people that were pro term limits were there, including Jeter, and Jeter voted against it.
Yeah,
So
kind of squashed the idea.
he
Hence,
squashed it.
hence our show graphic several shows ago about the Benedict Arnold.
He killed the opportunity. He killed it. So here we go again. And if you read the group and you look at it, you can't see Julianna in this image, but you've got Shane, you got Jeter, you've got Vicky Whitman, you got Preston Friedley, you got our good friend with Eagle Trucking, you got Miss Moorhart, and you've got the princess. See, I'm going to say the queen all the time. The princess. You got the princess. So there's two people missing. Darby's appointee, Pandorina, she's not there, who doesn't live in the district, and that's why that district, Darby's district, feels unrepresented, because there's not someone who lives in that district on this committee.
Right.
And then you've got Miss Wilhite, who is not there.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Now, what do you, Rex, riddle me this. The most controversial, the whole reason, as even Shane Cheatham said one time, the whole reason this charter commission exists is because of the term limits movement. That's the only reason this even happened. This is the one meeting that you're going to vote on it, and she's not there?
Does seem a little suspect. Inquiring minds want to know why. Why not? Why not?
I'm sorry. You're not there. This is the meeting.
This is the one. All right. But I will say this. In retrospect, I want to thank Mr. Lee Jeter. And I like Lee. He's a great guy. Great guy. But I want to go ahead and thank him now. And I want to actually, I've thought about this, Duke, and I didn't even say anything pre-show. I want to apologize for Lee Jeter for even alluding or joking or cartoonizing that he might be a Benedict Arnold. You know why? Because I think he gave attorney, police juror, Julianna Parks, Princess Julianna, much more time to prepare with her client, I mean the guy that appointed her, David Montgomery, to get prepared for her speech tonight. I think if that vote would have happened previously, we would have not got the great tirade from Princess Julianna that we are about to listen to. Thank you, Lee Jeter.
Maybe so. But I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think a lot of Lee's constituency in the audience probably had a lot to do with his favorable vote on term limits as well. I think so.
All right, so here we go. This is Cheatham I think this is where he makes his motion to adopt version C of the term limits. Here we go. Let's listen to this.
The floor.
Just, Richard, just to verify, version C, term limits on city council with retroactivity. That means if you serve 12 years, you are not eligible to run again. Is that correct?
Yes, the way that's written, yes.
Okay. At this time, I would like to make a motion that the Charter Commission adopts version C of term limits for the city council.
Now, let me make a clarification. Version C is an entire thing, so we just need
Correct.
to, just on the term limits part that would be edit
Actually,
number 7.
I would be making the motion for that entire version, the edit 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Okay, so that includes the division of the at-large members into Division A and B. Term and limits would be retroactive.
And that's fine. We just haven't, I know that we've discussed it as a group, but the other issue is that the at-large would be, currently they run against each other.
Correct. Under this version, it would be, you declare whether you're going to run for Division District A or District B.
That's correct.
Okay. So we have a motion on the table to adopt version C. Do I have a second?
Second.
That will be David Johnson on the second.
First motion by Mr. Cheatham, seconded by Mr. Johnson.
All right, so we've got 3 folks that come up and comment. We've got Colonel Crockett, Wes Marriott, and Cassie Rogers. Now, since we've already heard from Colonel Crockett just a little bit tonight, and we hadn't heard from Wes Marriott in a while, he's been kind of laying low. What do you say we listen to Mr. Marriott for just a minute? He usually delivers a great speech.
I think he had some eloquent words. I think folks would appreciate hearing what he had to offer. So, yeah, fire away.
Okay, here we go. We're getting closer to Princess Julianna.
Comment on our motion for term limits version C.
Yes, sir, I would. West Marriott, 211 Shadow Ridge Drive, Bossier City. Ladies and gentlemen of the Bossier City Charter Commission, thank you this evening for your hard work tonight and the past several nights. I would like to take a moment to advocate for our City Council and for the Mayor, specifically version C with retroactivity. Behind me, you see my 5-year-old daughter, who represents not only my family, but humbly, I would say, the future of Bossier City. She embodies the hope and promise that we all strive to nurture in our community. But if we don't act today, along with her peers, she's going to inherit a city where the same faces and the same ideas have persisted unchanged for decades. Over 3,000 of our fellow citizens voiced their demand for term limits through their signatures on the term limits petition. These were not just any 3,000 residents. It was not 3,000 residents of the 63,000 residents of Bossier City. These were the 3,000 that the Bossier City Term Limits Coalition knocked on their door. I firmly believe had they knocked on 63,000 doors, we would have 63,000 signatures. That's how popular term limits is in Bossier City. People are crying out for change and for fresh perspectives. They want their government to evolve with the times and reflect the dynamic nature of our city. Bossier City is also a proud military community where service members understand that progress and change are essential. In the military, stagnation is not an option. You either move up in rank or you make way for the next generation of leaders. This principle should apply to our city council and our mayor as well. Long-serving council members, some of whom have been in office over 20 years, may have once served us well. But the time is now to bring in new energy and bring in new ideas for our local government. Unfortunately, despite this clear mandate from the voters, there are forces within our city council who resist these necessary changes to maintain the status quo. But I ask you, is this resistance in the best interest of the city? Is this resistance the common feeling of the people that are in this room or watching at home? Is it fair to the young voters of tomorrow, like my daughter, to deny them the opportunity to see the city flourish under fresh leadership? The Charter Commission now has the unique opportunity and the necessary votes to enact term limits retroactively. This is not merely about limiting terms in the future, but correcting the course of our governance to align with the democratic principles that we all hold dear. It's about ensuring that no single individual holds too much power for too long and that every generation has a fair chance to contribute to the progress of Bossier City. By implementing term limits, you are fostering a culture of accountability, innovation, and responsiveness. You are paving the way for new leaders who are in tune with the current needs and aspirations of our citizens. This decision will ensure that our government remains vibrant and capable of adapting to the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, let us not miss this critical moment. Please heed the voices of over 3,000 voters. Let's honor the spirit of progress and renewal that defines our military community, and let us ensure that when my daughter reaches the age to vote, she will see a city council and mayor that are diverse, dynamic, and dedicated to the betterment of Bossier City. Adopt term limits version C. Thank you.
Mr. Marriott?
And Mr. Marriott, I think we have a question from one of the commissioners.
Let's see what
I think
Mr. David
basically
has
what
to
you're asking of your city council and charter is simply to put our personal opinions aside and just simply vote to give this vote to the citizens of this city. I think that's what we're asking, or just simply to put our opinions aside and trust the voters to do what they want to do with this. And I hope we do that for you tonight.
I could have said it better myself. Thank you.
Now,
any other public?
Did y'all hear that, folks? And I'd like to point out that Danielle Marriott is, of course, watching, and she says, look at the littlest Marriott back there in the back of the audience. All right. So did y'all catch what David was alluding to right there? That's a little bit of foreshadowing. Put the personal opinions aside and put this in front of the voters. And look, the fact is, it may go in front of the voters and be on the ballot, and the voters may vote against term limits. We don't think so, but that possibility is there.
What are you talking about? Personal opinions? What are you alluding to?
It's illusion, but more foreshadowing of about what's to come up in, I don't know, about 3 or 4 more minutes on the show, because we're about to dive into Princess Juliana.
Well, this is
Shortly.
Tuesday. This is Tuesday.
It's Tuesday every Tuesday.
Yeah. Careful. Careful. Oh, we're going there. We're going
look out
there.
there. I can see the sun is setting outside on a Tuesday night.
Yep.
Yeah,
We're
okay.
going there. It's coming.
All
All right.
right.
Keep rolling.
Okay, so let's hear from Cassie Rogers.
Hello again.
Hello.
Hopefully this will go a little bit better. Cassie Rogers, 4914 General Sterling Price Place, Bossier City, Louisiana, 71112. I do also agree with the motion that Mr. Cheatham gave for version C. It is my personal ambition to get the rest of the signatures for the term limits petition. I actually have one. If any of you have not had the opportunity to sign, you're more than welcome to sign tonight in case
Way to
this
go,
doesn't
Cassie.
go the way that the citizens of Bossier City have said they want it to go. So I also ask each one of you to put your personal feelings aside and to please, please put version C as the mayor wants it and as city council, some city council members, but a lot of the citizens of Bossier City. I'm tired of knocking on doors, but I will continue to do it. Because if we do not enact it now, we will enact it, because I'm telling you, there are some citizens that won't take this any longer. And I would rather the rest of the items that you guys are working so hard on to go through, because what the citizens really want has been given to us by you guys. And I would really appreciate you guys, each of one of you, to put your personal feelings aside or to go with your personal feelings and vote for version C, please.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, good job there, Cassie.
Anybody else that would like to make a comment?
Okay, so let me address the technical question you asked. Is it doing okay now?
No, but
You can see it through. You can see it through the show, right?
Yeah. I'm just watching through the show, but it just doesn't correspond with the.
Yeah, I don't have it on the live review deal. So if you
Yeah.
want me to, I'll add it to that. If not, watch it through the show. Either way.
Okay. Well, when we get to the other one, go live.
Okay, I got you. All right, so here we go.
Hold up a second. We got a comment.
Uh-oh.
down here.
Let me read it.
And because I wanted to go here earlier, but I wasn't.
You
gonna go
talking
there.
about the one about Wes
We're
maybe
gonna-
running for mayor in the future?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
No. His wife made a comment, and I don't think we were going to go there, but she threw it out there, so I think it's fair game now, don't you think?
Well, this is a public show, very public. So Danielle, Wes's wife, says Miss Parks had something to say to Wes after the meeting about her hopes for how he's raising our daughter. Do tell. I'll give it to Julianna. She's got a set of kahunas because she challenged me in the parking lot after one of the meetings. And we've already talked about this. I won't dwell on it. And I tried to be nice and put it off, and she wasn't having none of that. So I finally let her have it. And anyway.
Well, she is multifaceted. She does have one way about her when the cameras are on, and she's got one way about her when the cameras are off.
Yeah.
And in this case, allegedly, we were told, okay.
Here we go. Mama Bear was not happy with that information. Our house is led by a strong man and a strong woman, with 2 strong future women in the making.
So a lot of people may not remember. They may not remember. But Wes made a comment on the show, and he used a term. I mean, I'm sure we have done it in the past on our show, because we do a show every single Tuesday, every freaking Tuesday. And I mean, I'm sorry, graduated Halton in 1988. You mean, yeah, we had urban slang and we had all the crap, but some of this
See
new
you
stuff,
later. See you Wednesday. See you Saturday. See you next Tuesday. I
I
mean,
don't know all this crap.
right.
I don't spend my time in the gutter learning all this crap. I don't do it. I don't just whatever. Well, he made a comment. Well, apparently the comment that he made was a part of urban slang. So, you know, we did a show completely on that topic. We did a show completely on how she tried to vilify Wes Marriott. And oh, by the way, keep in mind at the time she was trying to do it, I mean, Wes is in the process of these lawsuits against the person whose seat she's sitting in right now.
Literally sitting in his
Literally.
seat. He probably went up there before the meeting and got it warmed up for her by sitting in it himself.
Yeah. So
Anyway.
so then after this meeting tonight, her off-camera self, you know, what I understand or what I'm told by someone was that she approaches, you know, Mr. Marriott's car while he has his daughter in the car, basically sticks her head, you know, into his car and tells him something to the effect of, you know, I hope you raise your daughter to respect women or something of that nature, or I hope something to that effect.
You got to be kidding me.
In front of his daughter. The okay, so since she is, you know, I mean, since she's on the warrior path, Rex, we got to cut, right?
Yes, we do.
We've got to cut, and I know that she is real sensitive about people using urban slang, and she is the warrior of all things, even though she's fine with all those nasty perverted books being in the library. Although she says to the public she's against all that and has a problem with it. In fact, what she said was if you saw what was in the library, you would know why we, all the police jurors, had to appoint ourselves to be
Oh,
on the
yeah.
library
Like
board.
they're the morality police. Come on.
Yeah, but yet I can go up there and I can find every nasty book that, you know, almost all of the top 10 rated perverted books in libraries across the country. I can go find them available there in Bossier. So Julianna, Princess, I mean, the Republican women, I mean, are you fixing to go to war with the Republican women? I mean,
Yeah.
because they're out there using this
This
unacceptable
foul,
slang.
vile language, I've got it highlighted right there in red. You can go back on the Republican Women of Bossier's Facebook page and find this exact same post. And it's no slight to the Republican Women of Bossier, because I don't think they probably know what filth that Princess Juliana likes to
Rex.
read.
No. It does not matter. If you use those words right there that you have, that you
Oh,
didn't do it, that
you're
they did
guilty.
in bold print, you're automatically guilty.
I
So
see.
look, in you know, she says, yeah, bearing false witness. That's right, Barry. She says that, you know, there's two sides to everything. So I got to tell you, I went to her Facebook page just to make sure, because she sure went after Wes. I just went to her Facebook page to check to make sure she had went after the Republican Women of Bossier, and
Yeah.
she hasn't done it.
How big a
What?
girl are you, Juliana? Why don't you take on Jane Smith? Go right ahead. And Ann Price, I double dog dare you. You tried to take on us, and we see how that ended up for you.
Well, I mean, obviously, it's a double standard. Obviously, if some people can use that terminology and it's acceptable, but when it suits her politically, it's not acceptable. I mean, so there's two Julianas, there's two princesses.
Yeah, she's like Jekyll and Hyde. And at least Jekyll and Hyde had an excuse. She doesn't really have an excuse. There's so much I could say right now, but let's get back to the main thrust of the show. Because this isn't necessarily bash Juliana. She does a fine job of that on her very own. Wouldn't you say, Mr. Lowry?
I think she does. So she is the bastion of truth to everybody. I mean, she is the one, you know, saying that, oh, everybody else is the deceivers. Everybody else is the ones that are steering people astray, per se. So let's let her rock on with it. And
So
I'm gonna get flipped over here too.
yeah, and I'm going to set it on live review right now. So that means that we should both be able to control it, stop and start. So, folks, I've taken the liberty of doing a little magic of transcription so that you can see it easier on the screen, because this is about a 9-minute and 57-second tirade by Princess Julianna. There were a couple of interruptions, but just a few seconds. So y'all are about to hear her in her own words what she thinks. But I would argue it's not necessarily what she thinks. Listen to the language carefully and think back to whom you have heard, whom you have heard. Anyway, say something remarkably similar.
That's right. And look, Sobo, she calls you out. Anybody that signed the term limits petition, she calls y'all out. City of Shreveport.
Got to be educated.
Everybody in the city of Shreveport. She calls y'all out too. All of y'all.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and you can stop at any point.
Right out of the gate, she's spinning. Right out of the gate, she's spinning, and she's taking a shot at Darby and pointing out that some citizens feel like they aren't represented in the charter commission. I mean, at Jeter, and anyway, go.
Here we go. Fire in the hole.
There's been a lot of talk about the citizens and whether they're represented, but every single citizen gets to vote in the elections. And so when you talk about, these citizens want this to happen, these citizens want this to happen, you're ignoring the election results and the number of.
Wait a minute. What election results is being ignored? You're ignoring the election. What are we?
The mandate from the city.
Are we removing, Rex? I had no idea that this action was removing anybody who was elected out of office. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. I mean
who?
I really didn't. They can always do like she does, and like the rest of the good old boys and, well, good old girls in her case do. They can just use it for a stepping stone if they want to, because that's all she's doing.
But she just said we're ignoring the election results. I don't get how you're ignoring the election results. Nobody's being removed from office.
You're right. They're really not. And we did have a question earlier, and so while we're paused right here, hold on just a second. So Steve Stewart had a comment. He said, "Hey Duke, good evening. Curious, what would be the reply if someone said we already have term limits? They're called elections. By the way, I'm for term limits myself." That's Steve Stewart saying that. So we're kind of, listen up, Steve, and listen closely, because we'll address that.
Yeah, all of that is being laid out here, and Julianna does a good job making the case against term limits, but she demands that somebody for term limits also makes the argument against term limits, but then when she tries to do that, she doesn't tell everybody all the arguments.
She doesn't.
She herself neglects to do what she's saying everybody else should do.
We'll get to that in a moment. And Steve, I want to start addressing your comment, because that is a very good comment. The problem is what we call entrenched politicians. Once they get in office, it's difficult to remove an incumbent unless they do something really egregious, like there's some kind of real big scandal. And so they are able to raise money easier, like in the case of one particular politician that she keeps saying this is only about. They're able to get their hooks in with other political agencies very easily, and maybe not illegally, maybe only quasi-unethically, but they're able to profit from that. And it just gets harder and harder to get them out of there. And she knows that, but I'll give her her homework. She's representing her client, her city councilman, very well.
Keep rolling.
All right, here we go. Let's play.
People who voted for people who would be kicked out under these provisions. So each of those voters, their vote and their opinion is just being cast aside. Basically, what this says is you couldn't beat them in an election, so we're going to change the rules. We're going to have people who weren't able. they weren't able to get the votes, so we're going to change the rules. We're going to have a.
All right, hold on. I got to stop it right there. Because think about that for a second. We're going to change the rules. But the same people she's talking about that vote and don't want these term limits, which according in Julianna's mind and Queen David's mind, must be everybody or the majority of everybody. Well, guess what they have the opportunity to do, you little princess? They have the opportunity to vote them down at the ballot box if they don't really want term limits, and we'll see who wins this argument. Right, Mr. Lowry?
Yeah, the same people who want to vote, if they want so badly to vote for the one person that you're saying they want to vote for so badly, they're all going to turn out in droves to beat this. And it's not a special election. I mean, it's not. This
No.
isn't. I mean,
No.
it's not electing anybody. This is changing government. And last I checked, it's the citizens' right to change government in any way, shape, form, or fashion they want. But obviously, from her legal viewpoint, you, the citizens, you should not have the right to change government how you want, or you should not. You should just sit down and shut up and let the professionals like her handle all of this.
Oh, yeah, because they know best. I mean, she's pretty much said that. All right, here
Well, I
we
mean,
go.
all of you that think government is representing all of us well, both federally, I mean, across the board, state, national, local. I mean, just because these people keep getting reelected, does that all mean that we think that our government is doing right? I would contend she's crazy. I
Well,
haven't met anybody that thinks government's working effectively.
I don't think there's zero doubt in what you just said, and I'll just leave it at that.
Special election, we're going to tell people how great term limits are. And this isn't anything new. I think I've said it before, but, you know, if I went to court and me as the plaintiff, let's say I was the plaintiff, I was the only one that got to talk, and the defense never got to talk, I would win every single time, or else I should give up my shingle, because that's just how it is when you hear one side, okay?
Hey, I'm going to stop right there. First of all, I don't know what the hell she means by shingle. Maybe she's got the shingles. I don't know. But aside from that, let's break this down. Has only one side been given the opportunity to talk right here? Have anybody? What are you and the colonel out there? Are y'all blocking the entrances to the subdivisions so that Julianna and Queen David, the little princess and Queen David, can't get out there and talk to folks on the about the other side of term limits?
Now look, Rex, she's right.
Oh, I stand corrected.
She's right. She's
Okay.
right. Look,
I hate it.
So for all of y'all watching, you know, there's 100 of y'all watching, and for there's 100 of y'all, I just want y'all to know right now, Julianna's right. What she is saying that when we take these petitions around, we should be telling them the other side, you know, the negative side.
Oh, she thinks
term
y'all
limits.
should be doing that.
Yeah, that's what she's trying to say.
Well-
She's saying that we should be telling people the negative of that. So so I'm going to correct that. You're right,
Yeah.
Julian. I'm going to correct that, because earlier we showed Tommy campaign, you know, for term limits and was elected on that, the same as Chris Smith and the same as Hammond. They all supported term limits, and they all got elected and ousted long-time politicians in there. But you're right. We should have been telling everybody, look, the downside of this is because if we did pass term limits in Bossier City, we could come back and try to get term limits on the city judge and the marshal.
Ooh, dum. Wait, so she may
wait
have
a
an
minute.
ulterior motive? Oh,
Wait a minute. That would be her husband. She would have an
Oh.
interest in it. Yeah, we should have told everybody. I'm sorry that
Dang.
I did not think to tell everybody that, you know, she could be
Well-
opposing it because she's got an interest in it.
But wait a minute. Let's break this down even further. So I have a question for the little princess. When she's campaigning for, I don't know, whatever offices she's going to run for, let's just use, I don't know, police juror. Does she actually go out and knock on somebody's door and say, "Hi, I'm Princess Julianna Parks, and the reason you should vote for me is because I'm a lawyer and I represent multiple government agencies, therefore I know best. But I'm also I'm going to take over the library board under suspicious circumstances, and I'm going to preach to you about, knowing what's best for your kids while allowing filth still to go on in the library after I take over. So she should tell them all
No,
the
no, no, no.
downsides to
No,
her?
that's not what she does. What she does is she goes out there and says, "Hey, I'm the princess. You need to elect me because if you don't elect me, I'm not going to be able to influence me being able to continue to make money off of the police jury, and I will lose influence
Oh.
in my husband being able to be making money off of the city of Bossier being because and if I'm not in those positions to be able to fight against term limits, I will be weaker and not be able to help my self-interest." That's what she says.
Well, but maybe she could do something like knock on some constituents' doors, some potential voters' doors, and she could tell them, "Hey, look, I'm Julianna Parks. I'm going to be right here for you when I'm trying to get your vote, and I'm going to be right here for you if I need your campaign donations and your support. But I'm not going to be here for you if you get involved with a lawsuit with the police jury. I'm going to abandon ship." Maybe she could tell them that.
Well, yeah, maybe she could do that.
Okay.
Maybe she should. I mean, look, I just know that one time in a conversation, she said, "I'm not going to talk about my friends," when there was a discussion about potential wrongdoing of elected officials in Bossier. And her friends were not you, the citizens and the public. That that's not who she was talking about. She was talking about her friends, the good old boys, the other elected officials that she wouldn't comment and say nothing. I mean, so I'm just wondering, how is it that she justifies that the term limits people, me being one of them, I should be espousing against term limits to people when I support term limits? Oh, I know. Isn't that the purpose of elections? I mean, you need to go out there and make your case, princess.
Yeah. Get off your high horse and go do it yourself. Or call up your buddy Queen David and y'all go out and hold hands and go canvass the neighborhoods. I don't know. It
I mean,
just,
maybe
she
her
is
next
like
race,
listening to the Charlie Brown teacher. Wah,
maybe
wah,
in,
wah, wah, wah,
yeah, in her
wah, wah,
next
wah.
political race, she's going to go out there and she's going to campaign against herself and tell everybody, "Here's the downside to me. I
Yeah.
make the majority of all my household money comes out of government, all of it. That's why I'm sitting in the seat that I'm in, because I make my living off the government. Y'all, you."
Yeah. All right.
I'm thinking she's not going to do that.
Somehow I just don't imagine the little princess is going to do it, but here we go.
And so when the people say, yes, we knocked on all these doors and everybody signed the petition for term limits, but what I want to know is, what did you tell those people? Because the ones that I've talked to, that I've said, "Oh, yeah, you're for term limits, what do you think about it?" And you try to talk to them about it, they didn't hear the
Okay.
negative side.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
All
hold
they
on.
heard was
stop
term
again.
limits.
Stop again.
Well,
Stop
wait a
again.
minute before you start, because I've got a question for you, Mr. Lowry. And if Colonel Crockett's in the deal, well, and Wes and some of the other folks, Ryan Haygood's in the comments. But here's the deal. I wonder if when she went and talked to these people, if she told them the positive sides of term limits as well as when she was speaking about the negatives. Did she take her own damn medicine, Princess?
I'm thinking if she did tell the positive side, this is what she would say. She would have said, if you did affect term limits, you probably would have been able to prevent, if we'd already had term limits, you probably would have been able to prevent in Bossier City, per se, the highest debt per capita, it being highest debt per capita in the city, in the whole state. You also would have been able to prevent us having probably the lowest paid police department in the state.
Oh, yeah.
You would also been able to possibly prevent, councilmen having private meetings that were seeking to limit, the citizens' speech, in public meetings. You probably would have
It's like a
eliminated.
laundry list.
Yeah, you probably would have eliminated councilmen, appointing people to boards who then turn around and vote on whether or not to do business with the councilman who appointed, or voted to appoint them to those boards. You probably would have been able to prevent communications, on non-government issued devices from being disclosed to the public. You might have been able to prevent councilmen asking who would build a curb cut blocking a business of over 20 years in Bossier when that elected official was the one doing it? You probably would have been able to prevent councilmen from, giving directions to law enforcement, taking actions
Going
against businesses and citizens.
raiding
Those are a
local
few things.
businesses and yeah.
But for some reason, I'm thinking that she's not telling anybody that side of it.
Oh, I think you're wrong, Duke. I think she's had time to reflect on all this and in the last few weeks and all that and these meetings. I really think she's sincere. I think the little princess is going to take her own medicine and she's going to share the positives and negatives with everybody that she talks to.
Oh, Jessica Langley Maddox says, I think we are all smart enough to know the pros and cons of term
Oh, no,
limits.
you're not, Jessica.
No, ma'am.
No, you're not.
In fact,
we're going to let Julianna tell you. Hold on, here we go.
Are so great, nobody talks about all the people who voted in the one person that you're trying to get rid of with this. And so.
Wait a minute. Is it just one person we're trying to get rid of, Duke?
well, I didn't know that we were really trying to get rid of anybody, but my whole goal was to get good government, accountable
Yes.
government that didn't spend us into oblivion down there and will pay our policemen a fair wage, not pay them substandard so that I don't have to worry about public safety. That's what I'm talking about.
All right. But wait, there's more.
So I don't feel like that the people who've signed the petition have been educated on the pros and cons of
There you
term
go.
limits.
Y'all aren't educated.
Jessica Maddox, you're uneducated.
You have no ability to think for yourself and Google for yourself and do your own research. Only Julianna, Princess Julianna, can save you.
Y'all bunch of uneducated Bossier people. I don't know.
But wait, there's more. Look, folks, we're not even 2 minutes into this. There's 10 minutes of this.
Oh yeah.
Y'all put your seatbelt.
Let's let her keep ripping.
Yeah, y'all put your seatbelts on. We got a ways to go.
I think they've only been told the pros, which is the same as, like I said, if I went to court and I was the only one who got to talk, I'd win every time.
I don't think you would win every time, Julianna. Don't be so full of yourself.
And so when you say these people want term limits, I don't know that that's necessarily true because they have not, the negative sides of that have not been discussed with these people. And so
these people. Notice how she keeps referring to y'all as these people?
I mean, what is she talking about? Was there any specific group that was targeted or I mean,
you little
Julianna,
people, let them eat cake.
No, I know what she's doing. She's talking about party politics and all. I mean, she's talking about because no, wait a minute. The Republicans endorsed it and supported it. Well, she's got to be talking. No, can't be the Democrats because the Democrat Party supported an endorsement.
Y'all go eat cake. These people. And let me just say this as we're paused right here for a moment. I want y'all to know.
She's talking about the serfs. That what you're talking about?
Yeah, surf. Now, not surfboards, spelled SERF, right? Serfs.
She's talking about
little people.
Not little people all of us.
Yeah, not little people like little people we see on Discovery Channel and those kind of little people in the reality shows. We're talking serfs beneath the princess and the queen.
That's right. Yeah. I just caught it. Okay, go ahead.
So, yeah, let's go on. I'll point out my little technical deal here in a little bit. All right. Here we go. Let's play on.
I'd take that with a grain of salt. I have people I know who've signed it. When I ask them, they say, well, he was just a nice guy and he came to my door.
Oh, wait a minute.
Stop. See, I stopped it at just the right spot. Did she call you a nice guy?
Did she just say I was a nice guy? Was she talking about me?
Well, let's not be too conceited. She could have been talking about the colonel. He is genuinely a nice guy.
No, he is a nice guy. He is.
Hey, Good's a pretty nice guy, too. Who else has been out there? Wes has been out there. I've only helped one evening, so you can't really count me, and I'm not a nice guy.
She didn't say. So until she discloses who she was talking about, I'm saying she's talking about me.
That's the story, and we'll stick to it.
I'm telling everybody that Julianna said I was a nice guy.
Wes Marriott says, how about 3,000 plus grains of salt? Oh, but they were list. They're all wrong. Julianna knows best for those people. Those people.
Yeah, she got plenty of salt for everybody. So bring it. Let's
Here we go.
No, and so I just signed it, I was kind of busy. Well, how do you feel about term limits? Do you feel really strongly about that? No, the people who feel strongly about
Well,
it,
hold
it's a
up.
personal.
All right. Put the brakes on again.
Maybe they don't want to hurt her feelings because they know how sensitive she is. I mean, she jumps on urban slang before anybody even knows what it means. Maybe they're like, oh, good gosh, she'll go attacking me on Facebook. I ain't going to tell her what I really think.
But look, it's coming up. She's about to say it's a personal thing against one certain person. Again, this goes back to, I should have this clip pulled up, the Brady, the Brady Bunch reference. Marsha. It's always about one person. Again, it just drives me insane.
Well, maybe they're worried about her and her husband suing them. I mean, because, he
Well,
can
there's
still,
always that possibility. I'm surprised we ain't got the lawsuit yet.
both her and him, I mean, even though he's a city judge and she's a police juror, they're still drawing government checks, but they can both still work their law practice and sue all of us at will. So maybe everybody's scared of her that,
Maybe so. Look, if she
look,
sues us, we're just going to have a show on the whole lawsuit. Thomas Shea says, she offers no proof this conversation even happened. She probably made this up. She is an officer of the court, Thomas Shea. She would never, ever stretch the truth at all. She's a lawyer, for God's sakes.
oh, I was fixing to say something about Pinocchio, but nope, not going there. Keep going.
Okay, here we go.
Against one certain person, and I don't think that laws need to be made based on personal things. It's like another thing that.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
I'm just processing what she just said. Okay, here we go. Listen up,
Maybe
folks.
Maybe you need to play that part again.
Yeah, let me back up just a
the
touch.
Things she's saying right here are things that somebody is going to use probably soon.
Okay, here we go.
Person, and I don't think that laws need to be made based on personal things. It's like another thing that we say is bad facts make bad law. You don't
Bad facts make bad law. Okay.
want to change the law because you had one situation where the result was not as you would want it to be, because then you have bad law based on this one situation. You don't let the facts dictate the law. You have to look at the big picture and what's best.
Don't let the facts dictate the law.
Yeah, let me go backwards a little bit and see if... Oh, yeah, there we go.
Then what dictates law? What dictates making law? If facts don't dictate making law,
then non-facts must dictate the law.
I'm confused. I'm wondering, if facts don't dictate the law, why were her and her husband in Baton Rouge lobbying Adam Seabass so aggressively on, the tort insurance reform? Why were they down there fighting so vigorously? I mean, and were
surely
they fighting?
not.
Were they fighting for all of us out there, or were they fighting for tort? Which way on tort were they fighting for? What do y'all think?
Surely the little princess is not self-centered and self-interested. Surely
but
not.
I mean, facts. I mean, was she preventing facts? And if facts don't dictate law, then why was she there?
Right. Well, okay, here we go.
Dictate the law. You have to look at the big picture and what's best. And so every time someone is up for election, those voters are given the opportunity to vote on term limits and vote them out. And this last election was a very good example of that happening. I mean, you had several long-term city council members who were voted out. So to say that you have to have term limits for the...
Yeah.
Why
were they booted out?
She is absolutely right. In fact, the three that, people that got elected that were the new blood in there, were all people who supported term limits. But so everybody that supported Mayor Tommy Chandler and everybody who supported Chris Smith and Brian Hemmons, y'all are all uneducated, because y'all all supported them partly because they endorsed term limits. So y'all are all uneducated. Julianna herself just said it.
And the little princess knows what's best for these people.
That's right.
These people. Just gonna leave that there. All right, hold on. Here we go.
The people to be able to be voted out, it's proven wrong by the last election. I mean, look at Mr. Hammonds and Mr. Smith. And another thing that I want to say is, I'm new on the police jury, and I know they're relatively new on the city council. If somebody told me that I was going to be the oldest police jury member next time and I wouldn't have anybody to ask questions, that would scare me.
She's scared. She's scared now, dude.
And she's new to the police jury. Case in point, she was appointed by all of the existing members on the police jury. And then when she ran against Mindy Warlow, she ran, and I'm pretty confident there was a mail piece or a push card that listed incumbent. Now, why would she have done that? Why would she have said that she was the incumbent? What does that matter, Julianne? Princess, I'm just wondering. For some reason, that was important.
That was important. But I also want to delve off into briefly. There were many, many ridiculous Facebook rants from Julianna herself, the little princess, to potential constituents. It was getting comical. I mean, anyway, but that's a whole other conversation. That's
Ryan Haygood, here's the thing. She just told you if she was a judge, she would be making, rulings based on what's best.
Yeah, she knows best.
Not the facts, what's best.
She knows best for you people. Not her kind of people, you people.
You heard her words. It's not us making it up. That's what she said.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
But if this passes, y'all are going to be the oldest. There's not going to be anybody to say, hey, why'd we do this? Hey, why did we do that?
It's not like there aren't, records of everything. I mean, that's the dumbest argument I've ever heard. I mean, that's stupid even for her.
And so this argument about y'all are gonna be new and you may not know what to do, and so we got to keep all the same people and what we've been doing. We got to keep doing the same thing over and over again. I mean,
here's a question.
We're 38 something trillion dollars in debt in this country, and Julianna says we need to keep doing the same thing.
Yeah, but here's the question: what is the number?
Keep paying our police substandard and
wait a minute.
Just hope that crime doesn't come. I mean,
hear me out. And folks, I want to know in the comments, what is the number? How long should a city councilman be in office? What is that number? How many years? How many years does she think that it takes to overcome the newness? How many years is that?
I'm thinking she thinks George Washington was uneducated.
So, he just crossed the Delaware and, ran the redcoats off and all that kind of thing. But that's all.
But you know what? George Washington did not get to sit in that chair that she's sitting in.
That's right. He definitely did not warm it up for her because I'm sure his butt was still cold from crossing the Delaware in the middle of the winter. Anyway, but I digress. Right. All right, here we go.
And there's a lot of discussion about the institutional knowledge. And so I think the system here has worked out to where you do have new blood, people do have a new opportunity to run and they can get elected, whereas other people who like some of the institutional knowledge, the voters are allowed to keep that. So this is sold as giving the power back to the voters, but in reality, it's doing exactly the opposite. It's telling those people, and if you look at the election results from the last election, I mean,
here we go. All right, so I want to pause right here. So first of all, again, Julianna, this is going to go to the ballot. It's going to go in front of the voters that you're speaking about, and so we'll see. But I want y'all to get prepared for Julianna math. This could be a whole segment and show in itself. We are nowhere near done yet. We're only about halfway through. Julianna math. Here we go.
I think it was like 80, I had it on my phone and I can't find it tonight, but I think it was 8,700 people voted for mayor, or 8,200, which double that would be what, 16,000? 16,000. But then if you look at.
That was the total adding the two together. That 8,700 people voted.
In what election?
In the mayor's election and the city council.
80.
But if you double it, it could be 16,000. And if you triple it, well, it could be even more than that. It could be 24,000 if we triple it, Duke. Quadruple it, 32,000.
Ferris, she doesn't need any ideas. Don't be giving her help like that. Quit.
It's lifetime appointments are very popular in the CCP, and depends on your expected lifetime age over there. But anyway, good point. All right.
Y'all just stop, Ferrises. We don't need no more ideas like that.
Yeah. So here we go with more Julianna math.
700 individuals voted. So if each of those people had voted twice, as they could have in the at-large election for the city council members, you should have had 16,000 votes cast. There were not nearly that many votes cast. So a bunch of people just voted on one person. And so if you take that into consideration and you look at the actual number of voters estimated by the fact that they're probably everybody that voted for mayor, David Montgomery got a lot higher percentage if you look at that way. If you
use Julianna math, David Montgomery really got a lot higher percentage than what, the Secretary of State's office showed. It must be, those election problems that we're having, dude. Because David Montgomery really got a lot higher percentage.
Well, you just need to see it her way, in which I don't know.
16. If we just double it, it's 16,000 votes. Julianna math, princess math. Let's come up with a new term.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you, she is reaching for the stars here, desperately. That chair is channeling the energy. I mean, and I'm thinking that.
Look, she's even got the hand motions going. Did you notice that?
Oh, she does, doesn't she? I mean,
just pointing that out, just saying. And look, I'm one that talks with my hands too, so I'm just saying that was something I noticed as well.
I just realized an egregious error of yours. You did not. You remember we put a crown on the king one time?
Yes, we did.
You have not put a crown there on the queen.
Look, I already have plenty of ideas. I'm going to do this at chipmunk speed. Folks, I want you to hear this for just a second at chipmunk speed. I'm going to actually do a whole video spoof of this, but just so you can hear it for just a second, y'all listen up. This is Chipmunk Julianna.
They're probably everybody that voted for mayor. David Montgomery got a lot higher percentage if you look at that way. If you consider the actual number of voters and the number of people that voted for him. So whether you like him, whether you agree with him or not, that's a lot of voters. That's a big percentage.
I mean, she's channeling it, baby. She's channeling it.
Montgomery really got even higher than, what the poll results actually said. I don't know. Okay, here we go. That's a big percentage.
Look, she's not done because she hadn't attacked the people in South Bossier. She hasn't attacked Shreveport yet. I mean, she's far from over, guys. Y'all, she's not done.
We're not done.
Halfway.
Yeah, here we go.
Halfway.
If I did this whole thing at chipmunk speed, well, it'd still take a little bit. Here we go.
Percentage of the people that voted that wanted to keep him there. And so whether you like him or not, that's what the majority chose. And if you really want him out of there, then go campaign against him. He's an at-large. He's not even for a specific district.
I would just ask
But
that
to change the rules.
I'm not changing the rules, but I would ask that we not make this on a personal level. No one, to my knowledge, has asked or spoke about a specific city councilman.
But I'm using that
I'm
as an
just saying,
example. Let
but
me finish. I'm
but I
using that
understand
as an
this part.
example because
You've been talking 5 minutes, and I'm being respectful of your time.
And we have.
Notice she ain't shutting up. But did y'all also notice, not only is she talking with her hands, not only is she sitting in Queen David's chair that I'm sure he warmed up for, she was texting furiously before this tirade.
Every single meeting. I thought she's playing Tetris. But
we've threatened to do this before. I really think maybe we'll do it during the show. We should send off a public information request to the city for those text messages that are related, anything that is related to term limits, the Bossier City Charter Commission.
Now, dadgum good and well, Richard Ray is going to go sit right in front and say, I seen her look on there and she couldn't get no records. There just wasn't nothing there.
Right. Oh, yeah. It was past
Just-
18, 19 months. Shoot, we just couldn't
Yep.
get them.
Wasn't nothing there. Nothing to find.
James Dooley says, get it together, Rex. I'm trying, but if I do the chipmunk speed again, I won't be able to hold it in. All right, here we go.
Here, and I have been at every meeting for more than
Whoa! She has
Stop the
not
press.
been to every meeting.
Wait just a minute.
She's not been to every meeting.
For 2 hours, many, many nights. You're the one that accepted this responsibility from your client. I mean, your city councilman, David Montgomery.
Rex, me and you went to Jack's quarters. Was she there?
Yes.
She was not there because if she was
I
there,
don't remember her being there. She
if
wasn't
she'd
there
have
with
been-
those folks.
Yeah,
I'm
if she'd
sorry.
have
Did
been
I say
there-
that? I didn't mean to.
I mean, I specifically do not recall getting the stink eye. I don't remember getting it. She wasn't there.
She didn't challenge me in the parking lot out there of Jack's quarters. Not around
No.
those people.
We made it out safe. So I don't keep going. I'm
All
sorry.
right, here we go.
2 hours, many, many nights. And if I can't talk about this for a few minutes, because this side has never been talked about, okay? And regardless of how we vote, everybody here needs to understand that there is a negative side. And I looked at studies where term limits have been touted to all the voters, and what was the result at the local level of term limits? More polarizing of the people.
Damn it. She caught you, Duke. You and the Colonel both are guilty of sin.
Now she is using the term polarization. You know what term I think she's really talking about? She's talking about debate.
Oh.
She's talking about discourse. She's talking about people having a different opinion is what she's talking about, but she uses it as polarization. And I think that is actually what has been the problem. Is it's been business as usual in Bossier, and she is right about not talking about the negative side of things, because and she asked the question, what are they telling people when they go to these doors? What are they telling people? And you know what? You want to know, Julianne, let me give it to you. Let me tell you when we go to the door.
Yeah, tell us, Duke. What are y'all saying? You've got to be
As of now-
saying something that's very polarizing.
Well, we go to the door and we say, look, in the city of Bossier, your elected officials don't have term limits. They don't have them. If they want to be in there 50 years, they can be in there 50 years. We don't think that's right. We think they should do some terms and then they should go home. They should serve and then go home and get out of the way and give somebody else an opportunity. We are proposing 3 terms, 4 years each term for a total of 12 years. They can serve 12 years. Then they can go run for another office, but they can't run for that one. And then if somebody says, well, I don't know, and say, well, why would I want to do that? And it's like, well, did you know that your city now has the highest debt per capita of any city in the state of Louisiana? Did you know that? And it's because a majority of the council has been in there for 20 years or more. It's been the same old people in there, and they have spent us into debt. And did you know that your police department is the lowest paid around here, and they can't hardly get a raise? Why is that? It's because of your old councilman. Your new councilman, they want to give them a raise.
You can't use those polarizing facts like that. Shame on you, Duke. You and the Colonel both.
That's right. She would say, oh, you can't tell that. That's not the negative side that she's talking about. And the other negative side that, oh, if you give them this, if they get term limits on the mayor and the council, Lord forbid, they may come after my husband as the city judge. They may try to put term limits on the city judge or even put on the city marshal. So why there's no conflict of interest, that this could potentially affect those two, folks up there. I mean, I don't know.
All right, here we go.
And what is the worst thing that we have going on here? If you look over at Shreveport, they can't do anything because all they do is fight.
Paging Shreveport, she's now injected y'all and dragged you across the river into this conversation.
Now, look, David and Preston, they take her to task on where she goes going after Shreveport. Now, I somewhat agree for her. Shreveport has a history.
We make plenty of jokes, and we've talked plenty about Shreveport, both here and on Louisiana Watch. So I'm not saying that, but she's doing it as an elected official and an appointed bureaucrat.
But interestingly, what other elected official right there in that building where she's at did we hear on tape taking shots at Shreveport? She's sitting in his chair in the secret meeting. Welcome to Shreveport.
Yeah.
Welcome to Shreveport.
Gosh. I told you she was texting furiously. All right, here we go.
And when you look at the statistics on term limits, that's what happens. That's the result of it, is you get, it's more divisive, it's more polarized, kind of like we have at the national level now. And that scares me, because I think we do things better over here in Bossier. And I think there's a reason, that we are the highest.
Ms. Parks, I think the correction was 80% voted in favor of the most recent city bond issue for water and sewage, so I can't say that polarized. The mayor of Shreveport has done a great job in talking about that.
Excuse me, but I have sat here and listened to every single one of you and every single one of you
I'm
the
just saying
entire
that you
time.
can't say
And
it
you're interrupting
polarizes
me because you
everything.
don't like what I'm saying.
No, Ms.
If I was
Parks.
saying the side of you,
Ms.
you would
Parks,
not be interrupting me with the 5-minute
you
limit,
can't-
okay?
I know, but you can't say it polarizes everybody when it doesn't.
Let me tell you this, when they decided to build the convention center in Shreveport and
He
they
just
decided
keeps
to build
right
the
on
one in
going
Bossier,
with it.
guess which one got built in 2 years and which one took 15?
Well, bam. What do you say to that, boys? Let's compare the convention centers in Shreveport and Bossier and the time it took to build them.
I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say. I just want to see her going after the Republican women. I'm just saying. But I mean, why has she not went after the Republican women? I'm starting to think. I'm starting to think it's something with men. I'm starting to think she's got a problem with men.
No, she had gone on a fishing trip.
A fishing trip.
Yeah,
So it's your fault.
She's throwing red herrings right and left.
Oh, okay.
See, that's what she was doing. She threw out that red herring to flop around on the floor about Shreveport, and then once they started taking her to task on that, she immediately threw out the red herring about the damn convention center, which has nothing to do with term limits.
Well, I mean, she got corrected by Preston there,
And newsflash for her, both convention centers are heavily losing propositions, by the way. Just saying.
Yes, so she wasn't telling that. She wasn't telling the whole.
What about
story.
this?
Imagine
What about the boardwalk?
Yeah. Well, wait a minute. Look.
Hello,
So
boardwalk. Anybody?
she's not.
Bueller?
She's not done. I mean.
Okay, you're
Sobo, y'all. She called y'all out too. I mean.
Yeah.
y'all
Thomas
need
Shea
to-
says time for a point of order.
Sobo, you need to sit down and shut up. You know, y'all put a sock in it.
Here we go.
That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. The reason that we can do things here in Bossier is because we are not polarized like they are in other cities. That's the reason. You can say that the parish doesn't have anything to do with the city, but that is not correct. If
She's
the city
channeling
wasn't
the police
doing well,
jury.
the parish wouldn't be doing well, and the parish is the fastest growing parish north of I-10, okay? So you have
You know, it's funny because remember she was running with the narrative for a while that Bossier City was growing, and we've had to correct her multiple times, including in the parking lot, that Bossier City is not growing, in fact. Now, the parish is. Bossier City itself is not. Why would that be, Duke? If the guys that have been there, if we're using Julianna math, the guys that have been there 20 plus years, and by Julianna math should really be 50 years, why the hell isn't our city growing?
Well, I mean, she should tell both sides of it. She should tell it all, but apparently she's not going to for some reason. I don't understand that. I mean, she says everybody else should, but she doesn't.
She just is not taking her own medicine, and I had so much faith in the little princess. Here we go.
most of the people from South Bossier who want the term limits. However, they got two.
Excuse me, everybody in the crowd, please be quiet and give respect to the speaker.
All right, I got to stop right there. That was masterful, Mr. Cheatham. That is almost mayoral quality right there. Wes, you may have a little challenge in the future for mayor.
Yeah. I mean, we needed to have
You see what
clarity right
you
here.
see what he did, Mr. Cheatham, Mr. Pro Term Limits just took a moment to side with the little princess and give her her space, her safe space over there because she's so scared.
That's right, but I will tell you that someone told me that the audience there, that some of the citizens that had showed up, they were getting agitated with the
Well, it's those
princess.
people.
Some of those people were standing in the back, like, I mean, the marshals may have had to have been put into service.
Uh-oh.
Is what I
Those
was
people,
told.
those boisterous people,
They
I'll
were
just
getting
remember that.
agitated.
Her words, those people. All right, here we go.
2 new people were voted in. By South Bossier, you have 2 people on there, 2 great representatives
That's
representing
true.
you, okay? And you're saying that's not good enough, we want to take over more of these seats.
Those people,
right there,
give them a little bit and they got to take more. That's not good enough for those people.
Sobo, y'all got 2. You just need to shut up and take it. But no, you want more, Sobo.
Well,
It's in Sobo people. It ain't good enough to just have 2 people.
So Wes says the mics didn't pick it up, but the audience was getting tired of her comments. I just want to say, Wes, I am glad that Shane brought them to order. Otherwise, well, we'd only have half the show that we're going to have tonight because this is gold. Hence the gold color I made it. Okay, here we go.
And I don't mean to make it personal by naming a person. I'm doing that simply to show the numbers and the result of the numbers and the fact that every single one of those people who voted on one specific person in this last election are being told that their vote isn't good enough, they aren't smart enough to vote how they want, and so we need to change the rules to where they are not allowed to vote on that person anymore. So don't say that you're giving the power back to the people. You're taking it away from the people. It's more polarizing. You're not going to have the institutional knowledge. When you look, I believe Mr. Crockett said, well, you have great people who work here at the city. That's correct, but those people aren't elected. You want the people in power who are the people that you were elected and you have the power to get rid of, not the people who are here because they're the only ones that know how to keep it running. Okay.
Look, folks, I didn't even have that at chipmunk speed.
I think what
that
she
was some
saying,
word salad in a short amount of time.
I think what she was saying was what you want is you want to keep the people that are in power in the power. You don't want other people to get in power. You want to keep the people in power in power.
In power, because you can't have those people get in their way because they're going to want more and more.
That's right.
Okay.
I mean, those, and I'm thinking that's Sobo people. I'm thinking that's people from Darby's district. I'm thinking that, I mean, those people, the uneducated, all you uneducated people that support term limits, y'all are those people too.
But listen to this next sentence right here. This is gold.
Okay, and I've seen that firsthand behind the scenes on the level, the council level. So
behind the scenes on the council level. What happens behind the scenes with this city council and the good old boys? What do those morons do behind the scenes? Oh, walking quorums, secret meetings.
Oh, that's what she's talking about. The ones that they can't tell us about.
Right. But that get publicized and actually end up not only on our show when we publish them, but actually end up legitimately on the dinosaur media and news around here.
You know, I'm just wondering. I mean, how would it? Is she talking about stuff like parish administrators being required to live in the parish or not? I mean, and that
surely she tells her constituents that when she goes door to door and gives them a report on how well the parish is doing. I'm sure she also, like she's saying, she takes her own medicine. The little princess tells them all the negative things. You're right, Duke. What was that guy's name? Butch something.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure she's telling everybody about all of those top 10, horrible books that she said they were all going to do something about, and that's why they took over it, but yet they were all still in the library. Is she telling everybody that side of where she failed? I mean, is she telling everybody that? I don't think she's doing that.
Well, Colonel Crockett says he wanted her to speak more, so maybe she'll speak up and tell us about that. Here we go.
If you want to vote for term limits, I understand everybody made up their minds a long time ago, but nobody has talked about the negative side. Nobody has talked about all the people's votes that you are taking away, and nobody's talked about the fact that every single time that there's an election, each voter gets to vote on whether they want to vote on they want to term limit the person or they want to vote on the new person. And so to say that you don't get to vote on term limits at every single election is simply not true. So.
We don't get to vote on term limits at every single election, Princess. But now we're going to get to vote on term limits at an upcoming election, and maybe you'll win, and maybe our side will win.
Well, I don't know. How much more have we got to listen to this? How much more torture do we have to put everybody through?
Just a few seconds. Let's let her close out.
That's my opinion. It's not personal at all. It's simply viewing it from the level of, instead of, oh, we have this one situation, so let's change the big law to fix this one
Big
situation.
scary law.
Let's look at the law and look at the results and look at how that affects people, taking the personalities out of it. And from that perspective, I don't think that this is a good idea.
You know, I'm thinking perhaps
there's been a lot of talk about.
I'm thinking perhaps the term limits petition should have had just one person's name on it.
Yeah, it should. We just want to term limit Julianna Parks.
It's just like she's saying that, yeah, it's like she's saying that only one person is affected by this.
She's really going to have a conniption fit, as my grandmama used to say, when we get the term limits going for the police jury. Wait till we spin up that fight, Miss Parks.
That's right. And that's part of the deal here is because when we started the city term limits thing, we said the next step would be not the city judge or the city marshal or any other office. It was the police jury, because you got the same thing there. You've got folks that have been in there for, I mean, wasn't the longest serving police juror just retired or went off with over 30 something years up there? I mean, and it was a Darby.
Yeah.
So, you know, there you go.
All right. So there's plenty more in this council or charter commission meeting. I want to kind of start wrapping the show up. We're not done with the shows. Don't start leaving yet, folks, because we've got a couple of minutes. I want to hear from Vicki Whitman. She hasn't spoke a whole lot on her opinion of term limits. We all know it. But let's hear from Vicki Whitman's side of the coin. What do you say, Mr. Lowry? Here we go.
Whitman. And, you know, we have difference of opinions. That doesn't make me a bad person, doesn't make Julianna a bad person, and doesn't make Shane a bad person. We are products of how we grew up. I was raised by a great deal by my grandparents who were immigrants. I was taught to love this country because they were here. They know what it was like when they left. And the power that we have is our vote. I believe that with the bottom of my heart, that is our power, and that is my right and your right. I, you know, quite frankly, have seen enough the last few weeks of what's going on in our country and government trying to control who you can vote for and who you can't vote for. I've had enough. So
because the president has term limits.
Vote on term limits, because I think, Preston, you ended the last meeting we had really well. Mr. Crockett had a comment to make about, you know, the contracts and the city council, you know, and you answered him by saying, if you don't like your city councilman, vote him out. That's how you end it. And that's how I see it, is if you feel like your city councilman is not, you know, representing you, your mayor is not representing you, you know, then vote them out. Find somebody to run. Find somebody that cares about the city, because I love this city with all my heart. I was born here, raised here, never left this city because I love this community. We are blessed to live in this community. But from the bottom of my heart, I do not feel like this empowers the people of the city, I feel like it takes away your power. I've
You and the
said before, I
Colonel,
know of
again,
no
Duke.
other place where if you're in business, you've done a great job, all of a sudden at year 13, you're going to be corrupt, you got to go. You either walk in day one with personal integrity, or you never had it to start with.
Well, I would argue some of the folks didn't have it to start with. But did you hear what she said? It does not empower the voters. It's you and the Colonel have been so deceitful, and the rest of us, I guess, I have to put myself in that lump too, because we're not giving power to the people. We're taking away the power of the people by letting them vote on term limits. We're actually taking away power.
Yeah, well, I agree with Miss Vicky on a lot of what she said, but I disagree with her on a lot of what she said. And I like her. I was born in Bossier City, and I have lived here in Bossier Parish and all around Bossier all my life. I've been here forever, and Bossier City today is not the Bossier City of yesterday. And I'm not talking about a long time ago, but I'm just saying it was not too long ago that Bossier City wasn't in the debt that it's in now. It was not too long ago that you didn't have the police department, the policemen worrying about being able to pay their bills, and with all due respect, how did we get there? Who, who got us in that situation? And
It's
you
been
can't
about
say
20
that
years.
you can't say that everything is just peachy and everything is okay, and that we should continue to keep doing the same thing that has got us to where we're at now. And I'm sorry, coining Juliana's word, just because you don't like what I'm saying, eh, I, you know, I, I don't know what to say to somebody that will not acknowledge the debt. You will not acknowledge. You say you want public safety to be funded. You want that to be a priority within our local government, but yet you won't acknowledge what got us to why we're there.
All right, hold on.
It was individual people that did that.
Hold on just a second. We've got some kind of breaking news, which we already alluded to back towards the beginning of the show. Wes Marriott she said all that just 1 week after her husband wrongfully persecuted an employee of the marshal's office for leaking the video of the secret council meeting. Drum roll, please.
Now, I said earlier in the show that we had heard that somebody had been accused of, leaking the video. So I'm wondering, is Wes Marriott, is he saying that he said wrongfully persecuted? Okay, so that wasn't whoever this is that they went after. He's saying was wrongfully persecuted. Okay, so he knows something else about it.
Yeah. Very interesting. We're learning a lot tonight. We're learning that you and the Colonel and Ryan Haygood and Wes Marriott and me helping promote it on the show, and even Shane Cheatham and everybody that's for term limits, including the mayor, Preston Friedley, David Johnson, we're all going to see here in just a minute because we're going to play the vote. We've learned a lot of things tonight. One, y'all are stripping power away from the people by allowing them to actually vote on this subject. And then number two, well, there's been some funny business going on down there around the marshal's office. All right. Exclusive stuff here, only on Bossier Watch, folks. Okay, let's jump to the vote. How about we do that?
Yeah, let's do that. And I think maybe after we get the vote in, we need to have a little bit of discussion about where does things go from here, because a lot of people think that, oh, this is over with. Oh,
there's
game,
more
set,
to it.
match. No, that's not the case at all, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Oh, hold on a second. One more thing and we'll get to the vote. So Wes Marriott says accused interrogated for 3 hours without an attorney and threatened with termination. Dum dum dum.
How about that?
All right, here's the vote, folks.
Which would be to adopt version C, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, I'm
wait
gonna
a
call
minute.
by a roll call vote.
Wait a minute. Wait. You missed something. There was a point about Richard Ray.
Oh, the roll call and calling for the question. Yeah, I kind of skipped over that, but let's do that. All right, here we go. I'm gonna jump back to David's original comment. You're sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. All right, here we go. So we're backing up just a little bit, then we'll get to the vote, folks.
Head and vote on this, and like I said, I hope the people get to choose whether they vote yes or whether they vote no.
In every
The
election,
people
they
have
get to choose.
absolutely the right to vote on this.
So I guess, so you are calling for the question? We have a motion to call for.
Now, I got to stop right there for a second because I didn't hear David Johnson call for the question. Did you?
No, he never said the words call for the question. He said, I'm calling for the vote. And people may be wondering, well, why does that matter? What is the difference? Well, Richard Ray points that out.
Yeah, so here we go.
For the question, all those in favor of calling for the question signify by saying aye.
Why would we need to do that? I've already made a motion.
Well, we got a motion. He's just saying, let's go ahead and vote.
So are we voting, or are we
can
voting
vote,
on my
yeah.
motion?
Yes.
Yes, he's saying go ahead and
Wait a
vote.
minute.
Ding, ding, ding.
These words have meaning. If you're calling the question, that takes a 2/3 majority to
No,
stop the debate.
he's saying, he just said he wants to vote. I'm trying to ask.
You just said there's a motion
I'm
to call
asking
the
the
question.
question, was he wanting to call for the question? I'm not answering for Mr. Johnson. And if you're saying it's going to call for a 2/3 vote, I think Mr. Johnson will have to answer for himself. He's just saying a second ago, I just want us to vote.
I didn't hear him say anything. I heard you say we have a motion to call for the question.
I want to vote.
Well, there's.
All right, so to summarize that, and again, I think Preston's done a fine job of, kind of running the show with the Charter Commission meeting overall. I think there was just a little bit of a miscommunication. Maybe he didn't hear it correctly and blah, blah, blah. And thank goodness that it is recorded.
Yeah, and the reason that's important because some people thought that maybe the assistant city attorney, Richard Ray, was trying to steer things one way or the other because if it would have been a 2/3 vote,
That's
it
different.
wouldn't have passed. But if it was, just a straight, simple majority vote, obviously it passes. And
Well, but here's let's be clear. The calling for the question. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, dude, because I may be wrong. It's been a while since I've studied Robert's Rules of Order. But under Robert's Rules of Order, which most meetings, and they agreed in the beginning to, generally follow, the call for the question vote would require a 2/3, which effectively silences, not necessarily the vote on the motion itself, which would have been Shane's motion.
Well,
I think I'm correct.
Yeah. Well, all I know is a motion to call for the question is 2/3. Richard
Right.
Ray is correct on that.
The motion to call for the motion, and there has to be an immediate second. There is no discussion, and the chairman's supposed to, or the president or whoever, the chairman of the meeting, is supposed to immediately call for the vote on calling the question. Then you proceed on to the original motion vote.
Right, but people were thinking that Richard Ray was trying to say that that voting on Shane's motion would have then required 2/3 by way of what, using that terminology. That's what they were saying. I don't think that was the case. I mean, I think he was trying to legitimately get clarity from them on exactly the terminology that they were using. He wanted to make sure that it was clear.
All right, so I want to put a comment up here because we have Ryan Gaddy. I'm not going to read all of this, but I'll summarize it. Its comical term limits issue has been elevated to a pivotal problem to be solved. No one person who's left their area will return if we get term limits. My two oldest kids have left. When I try to convince them to move back, they and none of their friends have ever said we are coming back. Now, That is a fair point, Ryan, but I'd also like to counter that argument that maybe one of the reasons they've left is we have the entrenched politicians that have basically, I'm not going to say destroyed Bossier City because that's being a little facetious, but they have put Bossier City on a downhill path, and maybe that's why your kids don't want to come back. And virtually no kid, when I was in my 19 and 20-year-old range, I said I was going to move away from Ruston and never move back. I was moving away from Louisiana and never moving back. And well, look where I am. So you have a point, but that doesn't really hold water. Try again. Okay.
Okay, hang on.
All right.
Hang on.
Hold the presses. Hold the
right,
presses.
I got to share a screen with you.
Okay. Technical clicks. Just a second, folks. Be careful. I told y'all not to leave yet. We're not quite done. All right. Let me, so I need to get this up where I can share your screen. You ready?
Yeah. Ready to go. Ready to go. So here is a most recent chart of in and out migration with all of the states. And I don't know if you can see it. No, you can't see it completely clear. So let me go back just a little bit more. But at the top, you've got Florida, Texas, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, all the way down to the last state with in migration is Ohio. Every state after that is out migration. And you jump all the way down, almost to the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th from the bottom is Louisiana.
Well, at least we're not at the bottom. That's a positive thing.
California is at the bottom in New York. So let me read this. California, New York, Illinois, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Maryland, then Louisiana in out migration.
Yeah.
So to his point, I disagree with my friend Ryan that term limits is going to cause nobody to come back. I mean, again, he's proposing we continue to do the same thing, not change any way that we do anything. We continue to do the same thing and expect a different result. I'm sorry. I cannot go down that road.
Water.
The statistics prove otherwise.
Yeah. Okay. But do appreciate the comment, Ryan. Like we said, we appreciate all comments, whether you agree or disagree. Okay. So, where were we? Oh, yeah. Let me go back to this button. And let's continue on and get to the actual vote. Because, again, there was a debate about the calling for the question. A little parliamentary discussion.
Motion and a second on the table. We've had public opinion.
Option C.
We've had commissioner's opinion. At this time, we should vote.
All right. We can vote. Would you like it to be a roll call vote?
Yes.
Yes. All right. All those in favor of Mr. Cheatham's motion, which would be to adopt version C, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, I'm gonna call by a roll call vote. You're ahead of me. All right.
Good job, David.
You're doing good. So, Mr. Cheatham.
Aye.
All right. Mr. Jeter.
Aye.
Mr. Johnson.
Aye.
Ms. Moorhart.
No.
Ms. Parks.
No.
Ms. Sumas.
She is texting
Absent.
away. Y'all
Ms.
see that?
Mr. Wilhite, Ms. Wilhite, sorry. Ms. Wilhite, Lisa Wilhite. Absent. Mr. Friedley. Yes. The motion passes 4-3. All right. We can now.
Where were all the people that? Where were all the people that were against term limits and so uneducated? How come they didn't show up to the meeting?
That is a great question. I mean, why weren't they there?
Yeah. I'm just wondering. All right, let's see what Mr. Gaddy's counterpoint is. He said all those other states have invested in infrastructure and higher education. Term limits haven't changed anything in the legislature. Oh, you're right about that. And that's a discussion we've had many times on the show and amongst ourselves in private conversations. The state budget grew this year, and the budget stabilization, blah blah, fund raised of $700 million, all by new people, many of whom are allowed to serve because of term limits. And, well, much of that's because of some of those people that have been there for just a little while and hopped office to office.
Yeah, like how many of them were in the House that are now in the Senate? They just transitioned right over.
Yeah, I mean, we'll just have to agree to disagree. Some of your favorite people too, Ryan, like Seabiscuit are one of our favorite friends and favorite targets. Anyway.
So, anyway, so a lot of people, my phone today, Rex, was blowing up, and people were like, hey, all right, we got term limits. We're gonna get term limits in Bossier, rah rah rah, and we can stand down, and it's all over with.
Right.
Not so fast.
Oh.
Not so fast.
Wait a minute. All right, so before you tell us why it's not so fast, I'm not going to play the video, but I want to let everybody know that they also did a vote for there was a motion made, a second, and a vote for imposing basically the same term limits on the mayor, and the vote was exactly the same. There was zero discussion about term limits for the mayor. Zero. Princess Julianna did not get on her sweet little soapbox and lecture anybody about the mayor's office. Imagine that. Okay, go ahead, Duke. Why should we maybe not be celebrating just yet?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. I don't know. I'm armchair quarterbacking, but it seems, that the absence of one member of the commission enabling a pro term limits majority to be able to be there to put something on the books to go to the council. I don't think that was by chance. In fact, I almost think that was maybe premeditated. I may be totally wrong. I think that may have been
Maybe
the plan.
setting it up for another lawsuit or dispute or something? I mean, do you have any suspicions? I mean, it's not like the city council's sue happy.
Well, here's my suspicion, in which we had not announced it. In fact, we were being on our shows, we have been being critical of a lack of people helping on the term limits petition.
Right.
I mean, we've been telegraphing that. Well, within the last few weeks, that ain't been the case. We've been out collecting signatures.
Oh.
And
had some help, correct?
And had some help. We've got some good folks. There's some people in the comments that have been, I'm not going to name names. Don't want people to be being targeted. Don't want Julianna the princess putting out anyway.
Showing up at their car window and with their kids in it. But anyway.
Sticking her head in their cards and stuff, I mean, so I don't think it's any secret to the anti-term limits people that the term limits coalition's efforts has been going along. I mean, you don't collect hundreds of signatures a day without somebody who knows one of the councilmen saying, yeah, them guys were getting my signature. So they know that we're back going.
Yeah.
So, there's a terminology thing that a lot of folks that we talk about the last charter commission, that there were, to watch for the poison pill, that they're going to put something in the thing to try to kill it. Well, my hypothesis is that they intentionally allowed term limits to go on this deal so that we would stop collecting signatures.
And then smart. That would be a smart move.
And then that we would gloat. We would think, oh, we got it in the bag. We're going to get term limits through the Charter Commission. And then lo and behold, and I think in this Charter Commission meeting, even Richard Ray says something about constitutionality. He said something, he made the comment referring to the question of constitutionality. There's no question, it's settled, as I understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that somebody couldn't file a lawsuit and tie it up in the court. So think about this. If we just gloatingly said, hey, we're going to stop collecting signatures because we've got it on the Charter Commission, and then lo and behold, one of the people that would be retro term limited suddenly files a petition.
Oh,
and
surely they wouldn't be litigious.
Yeah, and get it tied up in court to where it pushed it off far enough for them to be able to get another term, and we stopped collecting signatures, so then there would be nothing that we could do.
No, surely they're not calculating that far ahead.
So the poison pill itself is allowing the term limits retro to be in the Charter Commission. That is the poison pill.
I'm going to switch screens again, and not to play any video. I just want to point out 2 empty seats. Miss Wilhite and Miss Pandarima, is that correct?
Yeah,
Sumas, I think was her last name. Anyway, if they had been in those chairs, the vote would have gone the other way. Correct?
Correct. Not a shadow of a doubt. So, from this standpoint, we're not standing down on collecting signatures. We're still trudging forward. We're going to get the signatures. And the worst case, they're going to have to file 2 lawsuits to stop us. It won't be one to stop the Charter Commission with the poison pill. It's going to be they'll have to file a suit against us again to stop us again.
Well, and look, the fact of the matter is they're playing with OPM, not opium as in like opium dens. OPM, other people's money. All of our taxpayer money pays for the lawsuits for them to sue against, sue to try to thwart the will of the people.
So
just remember that.
So for all of you serfs, for all of you uneducated, for all of you those people, for all of you SOBO people that want more than just your 2 councilmen, come out and help us collect signatures and show them that you do know what you want, and go to the doors and you tell people why you want term limits. Help us get the signatures. Put your name on this. Come out and help. Message me, message Rex, message Colonel Crockett. We're all over social media. We're not hard to find. Come help us. We'd love to have you walk with us and talk to people at the door. People want to tell you about things that they have a problem with. I literally had people today, Rex, come to my office telling me stories about things going on in the city that they're not right.
They're not getting done.
They're not getting done, and it's not right.
Yeah, we got comments right now. Jessica Langley Maddox says, I'm more concerned with water, sewage, and drainage. I agree with you, Jessica. The challenge is we got to get past this term limits ordeal to get people in there that are truly going to listen to your concerns. That's the whole point of this. All right, Mr. Lowry. What else tonight? I mean, look, folks, there's plenty in that 3.5 hour meeting. You can go to YouTube, look up Bossier City Charter Commission. You'll be able to find it. You can watch all 3.5 hours. I've got plenty of video to work with, to run at chipmunk speed, to make fun of them and make mockeries of the things that the little princess said, and among other things. I'm certainly willing to do that. I want to let everybody know I will be releasing the transcribed portion that you saw tonight of Julianna's video, including a PDF of the transcript. So, if you're a campaign type person and you plan on running against any office that Julianna is going to try to step over to, hey, it's a free gift right here on Bossier Watch.
What a guy you are.
It's like an Oprah Winfrey show. There's a gift for you, and a gift for you, and a gift for you. Everybody look under their chairs. Gifts for everybody.
What a guy you are. I'm telling you. Well, hey, we appreciate everybody paying attention. I mean, 100+ people following. You know, some of this stuff is boring and mundane, and you know, I'm glad that people are taking notice of their politics, and that says to me that you're wanting to make a change. And I appreciate you giving us your time. It's the most valuable thing we have in life, and we don't take any of yours for granted. I promise.
I agree. And look, folks, y'all kind of know the drill about Proton Mail. If you have information to send us, make it free account. Don't put any identifying information in it. Send us an email to bossierwatch@protonmail or bossierwatch@gmail.com for that matter. Go to the website if you want to donate a little coffee money. And one last request as we close out for tonight. If you know any other companies, Pelican Training and Consulting, the Ferrises have been great. Of course, you and Miss Kara over there at Acadiana Mortgage, and then just promoting my little technology stuff and the outdoor news. And, well, you got some crawfish going too. But if you know of any advertisers or people that want to be a part of this show or Louisiana Watch or the outdoor news, reach out to us and let us know. And we'll be able to bring you more great content and more Julianna at chipmunk speed.
Thank you all. Have a good night.